So this is the principle that we do. Now, how do we keep our people happy? We keep our people happy by giving them what I never got in my early days, an opportunity.
Welcome to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg.
All right, we are live from Laguna Beach, California at the Ben Reinberg I Own It studios today. And oh, baby, do we have an incredible guest. I am so excited for this person. I've been waiting for a long time to meet this gentleman, and he has just an incredible story. He is also in commercial real estate like I am. He's an icon. And I am just going to stop talking and we're going to let him share his story. So Deepak Ohri, it is such a treat to have you spend time with us today on the I Own It show. Thank you so much for joining us. It's so wonderful to see you. I know we're in different time zones. You're sitting in Bangkok, Thailand as we speak, and I'm here in California. So thank you for spending time with us today. What a real pleasure to see you.
Thank you, Ben. And it's an honor to be on your show for two reasons. One, you're Ben. And second, you're based out of Laguna. So I fell in love with US because of Orange County. And I've spent, while I finished my book in Orange County, the book I have written, A Bridge Not Too Far. So Orange County is very, very special for me. And I love the place and I love the people there. So thank you, Ben.
Well, anytime you want to visit, you will be my guest, and we will show you the grand tour, and hopefully you like sand and water, because we live in all these beach cities around us, and it's just absolutely beautiful and spectacular. So let's get right into it. So you have an incredible story of humble beginnings, big dreams, deep personal principles, and wild successes. And if you're open to it, could you start by sharing your personal story with everyone?
Okay, so my personal story comes from dreaming. But how did I start dreaming? So when I read books, and I've read many books, and you can see behind, so there's not a backdrop, so I read a lot of books. So, and you see, my book is not there. So I'm very serious reader. So when I read book, I read a lot about people's successes. I read about things, focus. I read a lot about respect. I read a lot about dreaming. Now I want to tell your listeners how I learned to dream. How that, because that is very important for every listener to know how to start dreaming. So when I was young, 6 year old, staying in a humble background, and at that point of time in India, in Delhi, there was only one road that would divide poor and rich. And on this side of the road where I was living, I was told not to cross the road because people may not be as good as people on this side of the road. Me being me, not dreaming at that point of time, I crossed the road. And three things happened when I crossed the road. The gentleman I met, his name is mentioned in the book, Mr. Pathak. He gave me my first cola in the life. And I never even knew something like that exists. Second thing I got to know during that time, the pound, 1 pound, never used to come in coin, it used to come in the note. And I got to know that 1 pound is equivalent to 60 bucks in my currency. And that was such a disbelief. And third very interesting part, and me being innocent, he took me to show the house and I saw the bedroom and I saw the attached bath. You know what question I asked him, Ben? I said, when you wake up from the bed, do you have to stand in a queue to enter this attached bath? Or you can just enter, open the door and enter? And he laughed. He said, yes, I opened the door and entered. And I ran back to my house and asked my father, what do I need to do to get a cola and an attached bath with the bedroom? And he said, dream and know your roots. And that was the beginning of me dreaming.
Fantastic.
And then the life is not easy when you dream. Because life is always about hard work, but more than hard work, right time, right place, luck, blessings. It's a combination of that. This is how the whole universe works. for me was something was missing, and there was a lot of struggles that was happening. So my first flight was at the age of 21, and I struggled and ran, and everybody was looking at me from that jetway into the aircraft to get the seat. You know why? Because I didn't want to ask anyone how to fasten the seatbelt. I wanted to see the guy sitting next to me how he's fastening the seatbelt. That is the second thing. That was on a negative orientation because I had fear of people's opinion, which we are going to touch. And as we progressed, I started working. And for small things, I got emotional and I would resign, but I would get another job. And it never occurred to me until a little late that it is so difficult to get a job. When I lost my business, I used to have Starbucks in Singapore at that point of time, everything. They give local coffee in the plastic pouch. I started having that to survive, to see whether I can stay. Went for 200 job interviews, didn't get any. Came back to India, looking for a job in India. I didn't get any. Then my father said, "We will sell this apartment, a small apartment, move to a city around 500 kilometers away from Delhi, and you open a sweet shop, meaning selling sweets and savories." And somehow I was a little bit convinced that I'll do that. Now this is where the reality begins. Now, no job is coming to me. I've been told to open a sweet shop from a person who's right now you can see, but your listeners cannot wearing a suit. I'll be sitting in my shorts and vest and serving sweets, and those would be not air conditioned shops, so that the listeners can understand. That would be a shop with the fan and normal table. I got a job, a great job, to be a hotel manager of one mega ship that was being launched in Asia. I went there. I was there almost for a month and left because that's not what I wanted to do. So, this is very important, Ben. I had nothing in my hand. I was struggling. I could have opened a sweet shop, but still I wanted to do what I wanted to do because I had dreams. And I came back, found my job, then later on came to Bangkok, got another job, and then at Lapua. But all this that is happening is because of dream. And the success of Labua, everybody say great view, great concept, great food, great service. No, this is only one thing that made us unique, right of equality. I would be going to other hotel restaurants and I never even ate egg at home. Now I started eating good non-veg, a great bottle of wine and everything, but nobody would come to our table and ask how it is, which is fine. But there's somebody who's a little bit well known or on a social circle having a pizza and a beer, and everybody would be swarming that table. So, two things I learned from there: we have to give the privacy to our guest, and we have to give the right to equality. That has made us unique, the underlying. What to the listener, I want to say this one sentence in the words, lies can be hidden. The
Mm.
truth is in what you see, but not what you see, how you see it.
Well said. Well said. So last year, you were selected as the world leading happiness ambassador by World Travel Awards. And it's not very common in my experience to hear any professional awards that have the word happy in it. What did you feel when you received the award? Is happiness ambassador kind of how you view your profession?
No, there's a lot of myth. So COVID has changed all our lives. So Labua is the only hotel in whole of Thailand which never fired a single employee. We did salary adjustments and everybody took salary cut. But we didn't fire for two reasons. One, the grant that was coming in our part of the world by the government was not so good. And in our part of the world, one family members look after five other people. You fire one person, you're not destroying his career. You're destroying the livelihood of the whole family who's dependent on that one person. And and today while we are talking about supply chain issues, talking about employment issues, suddenly we see tech layoff. My point is, why hire people when we cannot keep them? Fire them, but fire them based on performance, not fire them based on financial recession or COVID. Otherwise, don't hire them. Then I see a lot of people, CEOs, they go for retreats, they go for wellness, they're looking for happiness. And I said, I'm a chief happiness officer also of the organization besides the CEO. So I said that happiness is not something anyone can give to anyone. Everyone has its own happiness within itself. You know who I am as an ambassador? If ambassador is a long word for your listener, they can call me the GPS. I'll guide them to their happiness. That's who I am. And World Happiness Ambassador Award was the testament of my principle that I cannot teach you happiness. I can take you to your happiness.
It's a great point because, like I say, people are pursuing happiness by changing their environment instead of being happy themselves, which will naturally change their environment for the better. And it's something someone taught me a while ago, which is what you're touching on, is happiness comes from within, not from without, from external forces. And it's a great point. Your hotels and restaurants are consistently in the top 1% in the world for customer satisfaction. I could tell you firsthand, I've stayed at your resort in Bangkok, Thailand, and I agree with that statement. I think that says a lot about the kind of leader that you are, Deepak. Can you share more about some of the key leadership principles you have that can lead to top levels of customer satisfaction? I think it's so important to touch on this.
Sure. So I'll start with one thing. What keeps us different? And while we're talking about principle. So when we started the organization in year 2003, we didn't come with the hotel. 2006, the hotel came. But in 2003, for our restaurant business, we had this thing, which every other organization has. But there's one slight difference here. We say we trust our employees. Everybody say that. It's a very easy thing. You read it and you say, what a boring statement. We all do it. Now, here is a twist. The twist is that every other organization will hire a mystery auditor to check what their people are doing and how the customer experience has been. We don't. We have never hired, we will never hire. On the contrary, we spend 10 times more and get our employees included along with the customers. So it is stakeholders, customers, and employees together to create a customer satisfaction survey to understand how we can improve. When you hire mystery audit, you want to point fingers. When we do all inclusive, we want to improve. I don't know how many people have wondered that when you are driving on a highway, it says speed camera ahead. And certain percentage think that, oh, they have put the speed camera to catch us. No. The reason they write speed camera ahead so that we slow down. It is not to catch us. It is to prevent something which could be more dangerous than catching us. So this is the principle that we do. Now, how do we keep our people happy? We keep our people happy by giving them what I never got in my early days, an opportunity. Our highest champagne seller is a lady who was serving chicken behind the KFC counter. Our best customer service staff have been nurses before. We don't look at resumes. We don't do profile testing. We don't do all these kind of things. We see, are you happy yourself? Second thing we see, do you dream and work hard to achieve your dream? Third thing, do you know yourself? That's it.
How do you determine if someone's happy? What's the barometer you're using when you're interviewing people?
When you ask a question, do you know yourself? And if the person is thinking he's not happy.
Got it. That's brilliant. I love that. What a great nugget you just laid out for everyone. So thank you. I really appreciate that. How did Hangover 2 come about to the hotel in Bangkok that you own, which I stayed at, which is, by the way, for everyone out there, if you want a treat, Bangkok, Thailand is a phenomenal place. But then you, the cherry on top is you stay at Deepak's hotel and resort called Labua, and it is spectacular. The treatment they have for their customers is second to none. It is a 7-star experience if you want a great experience with the hotel, and the food is just off the charts good. So tell me about how did the Hangover movie come about, where you said, yeah, no problem, bring them in and we'll have them. Like what was the genesis of that? How did it happen?
So it's a honest admission. So when they told me Todd Phillip is a producer and this gentleman Bradley Cooper is a hero, I didn't know both of them. I had no idea. Okay. I'm being very brutally. Now I know all of them. So the point is whether they know me or not, I'm not sure, but I know all of them. They came, I listened to the script, and very honestly, I asked them to do certain changes, the timings, and give more mileage to Labua, and a collaboration in marketing the movie in 3 countries. As a wherever they will put their posters, Labua name would be mentioned, and they agreed, and I agreed. Then, after saying yes, I went and watched Hangover Part 1. Then I patted my back and I said, Deepak, you're smart. You did the right decision. So this is the real story. Okay, so where I'm getting a lot of credit that yes, I took Hangover. No, I agreed because they agreed to everything I wanted.
They were smart because they picked a great location, a great hotel, and I'm sure it was a big part of that movie. So I'm sure they're very grateful for your
No, no,
hospitality.
we both are grateful. We're still getting customers and they're still having hangover teenies at our place. And thank you, Ben, for praising Labua. But there's one saying I'll add to that is you can visit Rome and not visit Vatican is perfectly fine. But when you visit Bangkok and you don't visit Labua, it's a sin. So please tell all your listeners, do not commit any sin when you're in Bangkok.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I could tell from personal experience. It's a wonderful country, and it's a wonderful place to stay, especially when you're so far. If you live in the United States, like we do, you invented your own index, which I've always wanted to ask you about. It's fascinating me. It's called the Ori Luxury Index. I call it the OLI, to measure emotional experience in luxury and to elevate the value of your luxury brands. Can you share with me and my audience more about what inspired you to create what I call the OLI, and how do you use it today in your businesses?
Okay, so
And by the way, before you get started, if you want to use my acronym OLI, you can use it. I won't charge you for it. It's free.
thank you, Ben.
Okay.
Okay, so I did a experiential. We co-created a graduate course for a graduate class at FIU with Dr. Aina Pitrasek, a luxury incubator course, and we took the students to Miami, LA, New York, and where they got very emotional was a $3 scoop of gelato. They had tears in their eyes because some of these students were first time graduates in their family and they never realized that luxury could be so affordable. For them, luxury was a bling that cannot be afforded. Because when you watch Netflix and everything, you're looking at those carat diamonds, so you think that is luxury. No, that is not a luxury. That is expensive. Luxury is expressive. The difference is expensive and expressive. Then then we said, why don't we do a index where we can measure intangible and tangible? As a point, the index is not fully operational, not fully done because I'm talking to one university and I'm going to use their incubation lab, it's a Ivy League school, to do a little bit more research and make it more solid. But I give you an example, and I'll explain the difference between the East Coast and West Coast of preferences. The both people people, they like to spend money. Everywhere in the world, people like to spend money if they have money. But they have a very different style. How do you relate to that style and keep your brand identity and yet sell the product and yet satisfy the customer is what Ori Luxury Index is all about.
So let's touch on this. So you are involved in the Luxury Incubator Project at FIU, which is Florida International University for everyone out there, and you refer to it as the first of its kind. Share more about the kind of things your students are learning and what makes it so unique.
So what make it so unique is the whole approach to the program. So we wanted students to have a real hands-on luxury experience, and we didn't want it to be based on my experience or my co-creator, that is for the course, Dr. Anna experience, or other people experience. So we hired a company, a research company, and research the customers of many luxury brands in East Coast and West Coast and in Florida, and look at their preferences. Then we saw what their preferences are. We said we will take the neutral thing which all these three people, and that is a part of my book where I've explained the difference between a culture, big C and small c, and the difference between uppercase and lowercase. The whole definition changes there. And we wanted to explain to them that there are few things in life which is consistent. And that is one of that is experience. Second is how you express your experience. So we chose certain companies based on our research. And the research done over, I think, 500 odd customers, done by an outside company. FIU has the biggest research facility. But just because we didn't want it to come from FIU, we hired an outside company to do it so that it is very neutral. Then we took the students there, and and they were told the questions to be asked. Then we told the students to go out and do the field study. They went out into the field and everything. And I have always been telling them that luxury is not expensive. Nobody was listening to me. Nobody was hearing it. Again, a simple statement. See, my book is also very simple, full of simple statement. But when you start practicing it, two good things will happen. You will be enlightened. Second, you will learn that simplicity is more difficult than the bling. Then the final day in Orange County, I took them to a coffee shop. And that is a place, while I think I told you, I discovered where every kind of car is there, but you have to stand in a queue to get your cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was standing. They were very surprised. They couldn't believe that a guy coming out of the rolls is standing in a queue in front of them, and he's paying the same price as they are paying, and he's also enjoying and they're enjoying. Then I took them to a gelato place where they cried. Then I took them to a taco place at the Crystal Cove. So when they saw these kind of things, they understood the real meaning of luxury. Until that day, they all were talking, I'll do this, I'll do this. So they got a lot of happiness. That they got the happiness that they have enjoyed the luxury. And you know what they said at the end? Now that we have enjoyed the luxury, we'll concentrate on our career and achieve bigger things in life. So this is what we achieved. What we achieved is a clarity to the students.
Mm.
We can't change a person, but we can provide them a clarity. And then it is up to them how they want to move forward.
That's great. What a great lesson you taught there. That's fantastic. I love that. And by the way, where you were is right down the street from us, so it resonates even more. Uh, let's talk about the book. So the book came out in January, and and I'm waiting for my copy of The Office. I guess you had the wrong suite number, but that's okay. I got a PDF copy, so I'm gonna start really digging in further. I started reading it last night, and so everyone knows Deepak recently published a book called A Bridge Not Too Far, where creativity meets innovation. That just launched last month, which I touched on it, and I've not had a chance to read it, but after today's conversation, I'm intending to. I'm looking forward to it. Share more about what it inspired you to write this book.
I think my father passed away in 2019 October, and he was not well, so we got him. So he stayed with us 9 years in Bangkok, and his word of wisdom, and he is a huge influence on me for the
Mm,
value system and value proposition. His advice was that the way I'm doing things is very unique. It should go to people, and that is the whole idea of bringing something which is so simple, yet it is all of us. There have been comments about people, and they said, it is my story. How did you write it? So it's not that I have written my story. I've written my story with the principles. So I'll explain two principles which are very important in this book. One is FOPO and other is ROPO. So FOPO is fear of people's opinion,
mm,
and ROPO is respect of people's opinion. How do you convert your FOPO to ROPO is how it has been described in this book. Second thing is, I got stuck at one chapter. So I have a coach. We all have these things, inverted commas, to guide us, because everyone is trying to please us. So you need to go to someone who is very candid and tell you where you're heading. So I told my coach, I'm not able to write. What do I do? And I think this whole conversation is also mentioned in the book. She said, focus. So I took Barack Obama's book, the President Obama's book. I read it. He also said focus, but how to focus? So I called her. I said, I know I have to focus, but how do I focus? She said, do meditation. I said, I've never done meditation. She said, then learn. I said, how much time will it take to learn how to meditate? She said, 6 months. So I said, what is the guarantee that after 6 months I'll focus? She said, 50-50. So I'm stuck again. And one day I was washing glasses in Orange County where I was staying, and the water was hot. So it was a hand wash I was doing. And suddenly my thought, one day it took me 45 minutes to wash that glass. I realized focus is nothing but consciousness of your weaknesses.
mm.
Once you're conscious of your weakness, all your energy and thought will work to achieve what you want to do, because our weaknesses only distract us. And these small definitions are also mentioned. So it is not a book which is telling a story, it is also describing something for people like me. Maybe many people know what focus is, but there are many people also like me who doesn't know. There are many people, they may know what FOPO is, but there are many people like me out there in the world, and I'm getting that feedback, they don't know what FOPO is and how they can convert their FOPO to a ROPO. Because when you convert your FOPO to a ROPO, you become altogether a new person.
Absolutely right. That is so well said. I agree with you. I meditate as well, and I do it twice a day, sometimes three or four, depending on what's going on my day. And I realize what it does is clear my head and focus. And I also do some yoga too now, which has really been helpful to keep me loose. And I realized my key component was worrying about what other people think of me, right? Which is FOPO. I'm worried about other people. And I realized over life as I got older and more successful in business is that if I'm happy with myself, to touch on again that point of being the happiness ambassador, being happy with yourself can alleviate a lot of the FOPO and turn into ROPO. And one thing I've learned that I can share with you is that every interaction you have, whether it's positive, negative, let's say someone's criticizing you, or let's say they don't like your hotel and they're criticizing you, there is a contribution to your life that that person's making. They might teach you something. They might be aware of something you're not aware of, or maybe you have the blinders on and you don't see it. And all of a sudden, they're contributing to adding value. So I feel every interaction you have, you can learn something and they're contributing to you. And once I realized that whether it's positive, negative, criticism, whatever it might be, compliments, someone is contributing to my life in some way. And when I'm grateful for it and I take a step back and realize it, that's when you become ROPO. That's when you really understand that concept. It's a wonderful lesson. I'm so excited to read this book because I read little excerpts and I knew it was something I'm going to gravitate to. One thing that you talk about that you haven't said the word is mindset and controlling your emotions in your mind. because that to me is all the research I've done to you, and why I wanted you on the show was so interested, is that you are a master at controlling your emotions, and you understand how to treat people and understand that respect of that. Yeah, you're wildly successful, but you really respect others, and you treat people the way you want to be treated, I've noticed, and the way you balance your emotions and the way you handle your business to me is just spectacular, because it's the real key, I feel, to success, to break that glass ceiling, is being happy with yourself, being fulfilled, treating others with respect, like you brought up. So really looking forward to it. What else, when people are reading your book, what are you hoping they'll take away? Like, what are some of the real nuggets that you feel after they finish the book they can take away and help them improve their lives? What are some of those things you feel you can share?
They will believe in themselves and their own self-respect. Point number one. Point number two, they will achieve their dreams. They will dream more, because dreams are supposed to be achieved. So so the best part is, I have achieved most of my dreams. I've got a lot of failures also in this book. The best part is, I'm not teaching anyone what to do with their life, but I'm telling everyone that be honest to yourself. That's the most important thing. While writing this book, I'm very honest. I've highlighted all my failures. One of them is one of the restaurants we opened in Frankfurt where we failed. That was a very difficult chapter for me to write. You know why?
Hmm.
Because the whole blame was me. Telling everyone, oh, I did a mistake is a very easy part. Penning it down, taking it out in the public, again coming to that part of fear of people opinion. And I said, I'm going to take that FOPO and convert that into a ROPO. So putting it in writing and then admitting to the whole world that I've done the mistake, that's not a problem. I've accepted it. That is also not an issue. After that, I've moved on and I've improved on it. That's the most important part. I didn't stop dreaming after committing a mistake.
That's fantastic.
So when people are dreaming, you will not achieve 100% of your dream. Start with 1%, then 2%, then 3%, because life is a journey. It is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And that is what has happened to me in this book, because my classmates, my colleagues, everybody was in a sprint. And today they are very surprised where I am, because they were always ahead of me for that 100-meter race. But life was not 100-meter.
That's
They
right.
are right now resting, tired. I am far ahead because I am moving with a consistent speed.
What great advice that is. And it's staying focused and persistent, giving yourself space to create, slowing down, which is something you talk about. And it has the ability where if you don't rush, what I say is that when you could take your time and slow down, things can get done quicker and better, and then you don't have to go back and fix things. And a lot of people feel like, well, I live in this technology age, we have texting and emails and everything's instant, so I have to move so quickly to keep up. Instead of the human mind and the body says, well, wait a minute, we got to slow down, because I can't create, I can't think that fast. The human brain doesn't work that way. And a lot of people miss that concept. And I think it's a great lesson you touch on, is that slow down, take some time, process, which it sounds like you've done a lot of. Did you ever envision this young boy from New Delhi who was living on the other side of the road would be in the position you're in? And what an inspiration it is. I'm the same way, where I didn't come from money and I had to earn it and work for it, and what a great lesson you show, an inspiration that you, if you believe it and you dream it and you work hard and you stay consistent and persistent, you could follow your dreams and become, like in your case, this wonderful entrepreneur and restaurateur and hoteler and all these great things that you've been accomplished. Did
I'll
you
tell you,
ever
Ben, it's
envision?
very
Did you ever
simple.
envision that you would be sitting where you're sitting right now, and from this young boy who maybe was struggling to say, "Hey, uh, I want some clean water, or I want a great bath, or great clothes, and sanitary place to sleep." And what's it like now? Go looking at your past and now looking now, and what's how? Tell me what's in your thoughts when you think go back and think about that.
I'll tell you two stories. So when I had that Coca-Cola,
Hmm.
so parents would take us to watch movie in the movie hall at that point of time. We didn't have TV at the house. Okay, so we'll go to somebody's house who had TV, and there'll be the whole like 18, 20, 30 people there watching some program in someone else's house. So we went to see the movie, and the guy had this. Now I know what it is: a champagne glass, having a champagne in that in a movie. I didn't have that kind of a glass. Okay, so at home I would have a steel glass, and the guy was driving a car in the movie and taking the girl out. So I had a steel glass, and my mother used to make the squash, and the guy will sip that champagne drink slowly, and I'll sit and take in a steel glass and sip slowly and dream one day I will be like that. I'll have that glass and that tall glass. I didn't know it was champagne, it was wine, because we didn't have exposure. Means until late, until I came to Singapore, I didn't even know what broccoli was. We saw pictures, and we were taught that broccoli is a small cauliflower but green in color. I'm telling you a reality. That is how it was growing up during that time in India. Today, you asked me a question which was asked to me by Haslinda from Bloomberg, my interview. I'm very grateful to life where I am today. And I'm more conscious to people's emotional sensitivities. It could have gone two ways. In between, I became arrogant also, fell down. Again, became arrogant, fell down. And then what I said, I'm going to keep all my negative points in a diary, which I always carry, that I'm not going to fall down again. Because there are few principles I'm always going to adhere to. Because you keep on falling, then that's not a right thing. So I become more conscious of people's sensitivities, their emotional need, and I'm more control of my mind. I have learned to control my unconscious and subconscious mind. So much so that the whole design and management of service process of Labua, which is on the face of it, is a very simple. Every restaurant, everything, but everybody says, "Wow!" You know why? We are touching that chord with every customer.
Mm.
And we have mastered the art of how to create business that gives a long lasting impact. The President Obama's book had mentioned that he was a senator at that point of time. He gave his speech, and that time in USA, Republicans and Democrats were friends. Sorry, it's a joke. And his Republican friend came to him and he said, your speech was very moving, but sadly you didn't get a vote. We do a lot of things in our life on commitment. To your listeners, I would like to say something. Commitment is always there because we are all human beings. Let's start working in creating an impact.
Mm.
And that is what they're going to learn while reading the book, that impact is far much more powerful than commitment. And there's nothing that can beat time.
And one thing for our listeners to know is that when you create impact and you serve others, guess what? Money follows. It attracts. It gets attracted, which is why part of your success story is that you serve others. And guess what? That's why you're wildly successful. And what a
Thank you.
great story and message. And so I have two food questions for you. Are you ready? Because I know you're a foodie like me. And I
Sure.
can't wait. One day you and I are going to dine together, and I am so
I'm looking forward to
excited.
that, Ben.
Oh, I can't wait because I know you're a big foodie like me, and so I wanted to ask you these questions. What's your absolute favorite restaurant in the world?
In at Little Washington in Virginia.
What's it called? What's the name of the restaurant?
In the Inn at Little Washington.
Oh, the Inn at Little Washington. Wow, in Virginia. Wow,
Yeah.
great. When you're doing your luxury dining, what's your favorite food to eat? What do you enjoy eating?
I eat lobsters or scallops cooked by Chef Ryoki at Mezzaluna.
Okay. So you're not vegetarian, are you, or you are?
No, no, no. I eat everything.
Oh, you do. So you'll eat a steak to chicken,
Yeah, I
you
do
name it.
everything. I do
All
everything
right.
here.
All right. What's the best dish at Labua in Bangkok?
I think it is not the best dish because we don't serve the dish. The
Uh-huh.
best experience, we only serve experience.
Oh, okay. Give me the experience. If I'm
Best
sitting
experience,
at the
we
restaurant.
give the best experience at Labua, but for me, if I have to choose, I'll choose Mezzaluna
Oh, okay.
as a restaurant. It's a two Michelin star restaurant, but we have
Yes.
two Michelin star restaurants there.
Yes.
And for me, the best vineyards in the world, which you didn't ask, I'm
No,
in love with Napa.
I
Not
I love
Bordeaux, not
wine.
Burgundy, not Toscana, Napa. Every listener, if you are closer to Napa, you have to go and experience Napa. This is the best marketing, best experience, best emotional place I've ever been in my life.
Is that where you get a lot of your wines from restaurants? Is Napa?
Sorry?
Is that where you purchase a lot of your wines for your restaurants in Napa?
Yeah, we do a lot of wines from Napa also.
Is there a
After my
certain
visit there.
vineyard that you gravitate to? Because I collect wine. I'm a big wino, so I'd love to
Uh,
hear
I,
your
I
opinions.
think I'm going to take three names of the vineyard on a exclusive site, Screaming Eagle,
Okay.
or
Great
on a
wine.
newer wine that has been introduced, I would say Robert Mondavi Continuum. That is
Okay.
very, very good. So as Stag Leaps,
Yep.
that is at a normal level. So,
Hmm.
so I've given two different options to people to choose from.
Wow. Great stuff. Yeah, I love wine, and I collect different wines from Napa and different areas of the country in the United States, but I like foreign wines. I really enjoy. I was just in Spain for a couple 2-week holiday, and the wines there were spectacular, as well as Italy. I like Italy and how natural their wines are, so I'm a big fan.
Yeah, yeah, but Napa is a great place.
Yeah, it sure is. It's a beautiful part of the country, and especially in northern part of California. So, you know, we didn't touch on this, we talked about it a little bit, but the pandemic was a challenging time to be in the hotel and restaurant business. What was it like for you in 2020? And I know you said you didn't have to lay off any employees, which I think is spectacular. But I also understand that some MBA programs have written a case study about your response to the pandemic. Share what it was like for you in 2020, because it had to be stressful with people not traveling, going on holidays, lack of demand to stay in hotels. Share your experience being a hoteler and a restaurateur.
So two or three things happened during pandemic. So we were a little bit proactive. So in March, we spoke to our staff, created a council, and we deducted the salaries. So we said we have taken care of 2020. In June 2020, I gave an interview to CNBC and I said the recovery will happen. A consistent recovery will happen in October 2023. So the interview is already there in 2020 June. Everybody laughed at me. I went to a conference and I spoke about this. People laughed at me and said, "Don't believe." But until now, I've been proved right. Uh, so when we had taken care of the people, then the case study was happening. I started writing the book and I started traveling the world if I could travel. And when I was not able to travel, I would spend that quality time, what I was not able to spend with my wife at home, which with my mother, because my father had passed away in 2019 with my mother. That quality time I was not able to spend. I did go for my friend's son's wedding, though after I came, I got COVID, but fine, you have to go through that. So that's perfectly fine. So I think I didn't. If you ask me, I took that as a time. I took that time as a learning time, and I got great learning because at that point of time, I had a lot of respect for certain companies, but the way they behaved with their people and the way they reacted. See, you see the difference of two words. In March, we took the decision proactively, but the world reacted to COVID. And
Mm.
I learned the management and I said, I have to get into education and start teaching people on experiential part, and I did that. So I was able to do this luxury incubator course with the help of cyber, that is 15 cyber center sponsored by Department of State for Education in USA. I was able to do a course for different professors on a cultural immersion of respecting different culture, because I that is also touched upon in my book with the professors. I was able to plan out when the COVID finishes how we are going to bounce back. And today, by a third party company called Smith Travel Research, in our subgroup where our hotel is, we are far ahead of our competition in our occupancies and food and beverage revenue. It's not our figures, it's a third party. But why we are far ahead? Because we looked after our people. We are in people's business. And every business is in people's business.
That's
Whatever
right.
technology say, technology are, and this is a huge sarcasm because of the tech layoff. We are laying off the people, and they're not even enough robots to work for them. So, what's the use of technology if we have to lay off people? I think people have to believe in people and in themselves, and this will be a different world we'll be living in, Ben.
Well said. Fantastic. Let's talk about luxury consulting company you created, LAMH. It's focused on executive training, which you are a master at leadership and with your employees. What kind of skills do the executives you work with tend to need the most help with, you found through your
I think
consulting company?
the company was formed, and one of my students, executive education student, bring in the whole company, and it is like
Hmm.
huge in $1 billion company plus.
Hmm.
And they want to use this, and hopefully, not confirmed, but verbally confirmed, but we have not signed. I'll be taking them to Napa to make them understand customer service. And that is the first two alphabet of the company. LA MH is Maison Happiness. This is one to one, bring, guide, GPS, bringing people to their happiness. Those who have lost track, those who have lost the way. So I'm not teaching happiness. I'm not bringing them to the happiness. My second book is also about happiness. I think it will come in 25, beginning of 25. That book will be out. So it's about happiness. So I'm bringing people to happiness. That is a part. That's it. It's an easy company, but bringing people to happiness is not easy. Means I should not be saying that, but so that people know, Mason Happiness is $100,000 for 5 hours.
So, how do you create happiness in these people? What's the
I don't create. They have
strategy?
their happiness. They lost it. I'm bringing them to their happiness. I'm the lost and
Okay.
found department head.
Okay. Is there some sort of specific thing that you do to provide that eye-opening experience where they realize this is happiness, and how do they continue on that path after they get done with, say, this trip to Napa or some of your other teachings?
Okay, so eye opening is when they are discovering themselves. Most of the time, their eyes are closed. Their
Hmm.
eyes open when they realize that they always had their happiness with them. They just didn't realize. Like, it was lost in translation, the whole happiness word. Uh, you mentioned you do yoga, you do meditation. All these are things which gives you mental health, strengthen your mental health. It keeps you fit physically. It gives you joy. But none of these things can give you happiness, because what gives you happiness is knowing who you are.
That's right.
If And you don't need me. If you know who you are and you're truthful to yourself, you don't need me at all. But the most difficult thing in today's world, with social media and everything, we have forgotten who we are. We know who our neighbor is, but we have forgotten who we are.
Mm. What do you like about helping executives in the luxury industry? Like
I
what?
learn from them. It's a
Okay.
learning. It's a learning, when I learn a lot with them. It is such an experience because you're having, like, I'm enjoying this show with you. Sorry to cut you, but I'm enjoying this show with you, and you can see my excitement and the pitch of the voice rising. You know why? Because it's so interactive. You really know how to bring the best out of the other person, and at the same time it is interactive. At the same time you make the other person very expressive, and this is what happens in the executive education. It so happened that I am on the left side and the people are on the right side, people on the side where I am on this podcast right now.
So when they're growing, you're growing with them. So you have a sense of gratitude for their process because you're watching their growth and you're learning and you're growing as well. And it's really a rewarding experience. It's a fantastic concept because you really get to benefit from someone's personal growth. Not only is it personally gratifying, but you also can acknowledge and say, wow, I really learned something out of this experience with this particular individual.
Yes, Ben, it is very well said. And sometimes you also learn some things which you are not aware of, because nobody knows everything.
That's
It is
right.
a both way learning. So you also take a lot of things home and say, and reflect upon yourself after meeting people. So sometimes when I'm teaching the students or even teaching the professors, when they ask certain questions, you just have a pause and said, oh, how come I didn't think about that concept? So it's a learning. So that's why we say learning is a continuous process.
Absolutely. So we're all works in progress, Deepak. Can you share a recent example where you realized you had it wrong and did not own it fully? The name of our show is I Own It. It's being responsible for every aspect of your life. What was a recent example where you realized you didn't own it?
Uh, I think the recent example has been while I was teaching the professors when they came and we went to see the revered monk. And I thought I owned the whole happiness concept. But he simply described the whole happiness in one sentence. And I realized, oh my God, Deepak, you have a long way to go.
That's
And
great.
there are certain professors who cried at that temple.
Mm.
And I was trying, before that I gave such a great speech, and I thought that I know it all, I own it, and this is my concept. But going there, one sentence that bring tears to everybody's eyes, and my eyes were also wet, from that revered monk, that made me think that, Deepak, no, you still have a long way to go.
Deepak, what is the best way for our audience to follow you and engage with you? Are you on social media? Do you have a website? What's the best way if someone said, I want to continue and be engaged with Deepak and learn his lessons? Because you are so wonderfully talented and have a lot of great stories and lessons to share. How do people stay connected with you?
So my website, deepakori.com, and they can send me an email at deepak@deepakori.com.
Nice. Are you on social media at all?
I am on social media, but I am a little bit technologically handicapped person. So
Okay,
the best is the email to approach me, and look at my website, which is deepakori.com. I'm very proud of my website.
great. So we're going to wrap up with our three questions. All right. Are you ready? We ask all our guests. I'm very excited to hear what you have to say. So if you're in studio with me in Laguna Beach, and by the way, next time you're in California, please feel free. We'd love to have you in the studio. It'd be such a great experience for me and for our audience. And I told you, I said, Deepak, please lay on the couch, uh, grab a seat, and lay down. And you are now this successful gentleman in his mid 50s, built a great hotel brand, great restaurants, have a lot of experience, a lot of business and personal experience as well, and a lot of employees. If you could talk to your 16-year-old self and go back in time and give yourself advice, knowing what you know now, what would you share with your 16-year-old self? What would you tell yourself to help yourself in your life at this point in your
All,
career?
all the mistakes that I've committed, I shouldn't be doing. And that's what I've written in the book. And if somebody would have taught me, somebody would have told me, I would be here where I am a little earlier, more mature, more sensible.
Great answer. Love it. So it's our last day on earth. God forbid, it's just me and you. It's our last meal. It's your decision, your choice. What are we eating and what are we drinking?
If it is our last meal, I'm going to cook for you
Okay. Oh,
because that will be
perfect.
the best thing.
What are you cooking? Let's bring it.
I'm going to cook simple pasta for you.
Okay.
Okay, spaghetti aglio olio. That is very simple but very tastefully done, because I want you to try my food to understand that yes, there are Michelin star chefs there, but I can also cook, and I think I
Great.
can do better. So a very simple dish I'm going to cook, and what we are going to drink, I think one of the Napa wines.
Okay.
And if you have to choose, I'll go either Stag Leap or Dominus or Screaming Eagle. Anyone that is available on that last day of the earth, because we have no time to waste.
Are we doing a red or a white with that
We'll
pasta?
do red. Red
Okay,
one.
perfect. I'm a red guy too. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. In our studio behind me, you can see we have electric guitars, we have a drum set, and then a grand piano to my left. If you're in studio with me and it's your choice, you could pick any band or musician. They could be deceased or alive, and they can come in the studio and play us a song. It's your choice. Who are you choosing to play us a song?
Vam.
Who's this?
Vam.
Okay.
WH.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Great. Any particular song you would want?
Anything. Anything from them will work.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, Deepak, you have been such a pleasure, and I'm very grateful to have you on. And I know we're in different time zones, you being in the Far East right now. I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us and just dropping all this great knowledge and lessons. And I'm so excited to read your book. Once again, everyone, it's called A Bridge Not Too Far, Where Creativity Meets Innovation. Pick it up at, is it Amazon? I assume it's, where can you
Amazon,
buy
Barnes
this?
and Noble, Howard Bookstore.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I like it. A lot of distribution channels to pick it up. So, everyone, if you're interested in episodes like this and following the Ben Reinberg I Own It show, drop kick that lower right hand button and click subscribe. Feel free to click the like button on this episode as well as other previous episodes that we've had. The more likes that we get on our show, the more it will spread to provide our audience and future audiences a lot of great content. So feel free to share the word and click that like button on this show. Also, if you want to learn more about my company, AllianceCGC.com, for all your commercial real estate needs. Our brand new fund, the Alliance Medical Property Fund, is the #1 fund in the world where we invest in medical and veterinary properties throughout the United States. Great returns and great properties included for diversification. If you're interested in following me, feel free to go to benreinberg.com. You can follow me on all social media platforms, and I will be shortly teaching commercial real estate around the world, which I'm really excited to impact the rest of the world with how they can build wealth through commercial real estate. So, Deepak Ohri, thank you so much for joining us, and really grateful for having you on again, and look forward to seeing you soon, and we'll welcome you back to come back on the show. Thanks again.
Thank you, Ben. It's been a real honor, pleasure, and I feel a new person. Thank you, Ben. Thank you for this
Perfect.
opportunity. And
Thank
thank you,
you.
listeners, for listening to me. Don't forget to buy A Bridge Not Too Far. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg. To hear our past episodes and connect with Ben, visit benreinberg.com.